Welcome to Glazed Over, a podcast for contemporary ceramic studios. We're your host, Jessica Kaelyn.
And Amy Williams. You're invited to join us in creative conversation about life in the arts as entertainment space.
Hey everybody, it's another episode of me, Jess, hosting, and we're going to be talking today to Felicity, Gunter, and Kaelyn Bucy from the Painted Peacock and the Pottery Stop, respectively, today about being managers of studios. And this is a really fun topic for me because I also was a manager of not one, but multiple studios, creative studios, and before that, restaurants over time. And so the whole aspect of managing a business is really exciting to me. And it was really fun to sit down with Felicity and Kaelyn and hear about what they like and dislike about managing their studios, what they wish they had more time for, and how they juggle it all. So if you're interested in those things and how a studio manager can fit into your life and help make your life as an owner a little bit easier, then stick around and have a listen.
Hey y'all, Des Toll here with Bisque Imports. We're really looking forward to seeing everyone this September at the CCSA convention. Be sure to bring those creative roots and sparkly boots, and don't forget to visit our booth.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Looking to boost your cash wrap sales and leave a lasting impression? For Art's sake, stickers are the perfect add-on. Whether it's artistic animals, playful pottery puns, or fun color-your-own designs, there's a perfect sticker for everyone. Shop now at forartsakestickers.com or at the CCSA annual convention this fall.
So I'm really excited to be here today. We've got Kaelyn and Felicity, who are studio managers. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to talk about yourself for just a moment before we jump in. Felicity, let's start with you. Tell everybody who you are, where you work, what you like about being a manager.
Okay, perfect. My name is Felicity. I work for Susan Bucy here at the Painted Peacock. The favorite thing that I liked about being a manager is really just like overseeing customer service and connections with people. I get to like deeper dive into seeing like, more of like the aspect of like smoozing and just being there, seeing the little small details that we might not be able to catch as a studio assistant, and helping the entire studio run together by reaching and doing outreach and connections with the community we have around us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how long have you worked at the Painted Peacock?
I've been here for 4 or 5 years, and have been the manager for about 2 years.
That's awesome. Okay, fantastic. So Kaelyn, tell us about you.
Okay, my name is Kaelyn. I've worked at the Pottery Stop, where Megan Supple is the owner, for about 7 years now. And I started off with a management track, so kind of went through all the roles. I'm not sure when the management part started, but maybe 4-ish years ago. And my favorite part is all things development. So I love growing our staff, I love growing our customers, and I love growing the business. So just anything where I can do any of that part is great.
Okay, awesome. So Kaelyn, you just said that you started in a manager track. So when Megan hired you on, you already knew that was where you were going. Is that what that means?
Yes, that was the goal, with the knowledge that I was not going to be anything near management at the very beginning. So
Right.
it was just definitely conveyed to me that I was going to be learning all things studio, all things floor, but then eventually all these people that I was training were going to be my employees in a sense. So just navigating all of that proactively.
Right. And Felicity, what made you want to make the jump into manager?
It wasn't more so of a jump. I really started here as a studio assistant first, so really mainly working the floor. And then quickly, I was moved up to team leader, where I was, helping to be the leader of the day and like guiding our staff on hand and seeing all things customer service. And then after a while of being a team leader, I moved up that maybe following year to assistant manager. And then from there, it's just kind of continued to grow and develop in my leadership here.
That's really awesome. Okay, so this question's not on the sheet, but what about our future growth? I know I'm always asking the hard questions. So what do we think about the future? Where do you want to go?
For me, I think what I would like to see is that our owner here, Susie, owns 2 businesses now. And so if there was an aspect of being able to kind of help manage both of those things, and seeing the bigger picture of how to help, that side of the business is mainly more so handprints right now. And we still continue to do handprints in our studio here as like a paint your own pottery studio where we do like DIY handprint art and stuff like that, where we still capture the hand. So if I could be able to be that overseer, being able to help both businesses be a bridge to each other in that aspect, that would be wonderful. And also my goal is to hopefully be able to have another Painted Peacock again somewhere down the line. So being able to help manage that and help that grow as well would be awesome.
Yeah, building new studios is super fun. It's a lot of work, but it's like one of my favorite things to like playing Sims in real life. Like, let me put like the party room over
like,
here.
Games and like tasking little people here. It's beautiful.
Right. Yeah. And Kaelyn, what do you think about for the future?
Well, just everything, I guess. It's hard because I feel like there's so many pathways that the pottery stop could go as well. So general manager would be great if we had, a couple versions of the pottery stop going forward. And then, just always growing, I guess, like always chasing that like next step, whatever that may be. I never really even know what the next step is until I'm in it sometimes. But yeah, general manager sounds amazing. That'd be great.
Yeah, I feel for your kind of being in it because I feel like when we're at conventions and little things where I see you, you're like me, where we just have all these ideas and we're just, let's run with them. Like, let's see where they can go. Some of them run into, walls, but other ones are really great.
Some very solid walls, yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, so speaking on those things, let's talk about the scope of your duties as manager. So, Kaelyn, what do you kind of do that you're responsible for?
Okay. Well, so I feel like, especially in this manager position, there's filling in all things holes. So main studio is a big priority, and making sure that that is just running efficiently, whatever that takes. The most things I do in the studio are dipping and loading. So I'll do a lot of those back ends if I can help it, because that way I can kind of balance out my other things, which might be emails, booking events, scheduling. I am in charge of hiring, firing, and our bi-yearly one-on-one meetings with our team. So training our staff is a big one, but mostly our leadership team right now is kind of our focus, I think.
That makes sense. And Felicity, what about you?
The good question would be, what do we not do here at the
Yeah, right.
But same as Kaelyn there, it's training, schedules, handling all things like main focus of the studio, keeping the upkeep of it. Organization is a big thing there. I mean, I'm constantly organizing every single day, keeping up with like trendy samples and coming up with new handprint art. Even DIYing this room right now that we have going on. So like construction in the business in itself, you know, training our staff and training our leaders right now. We have an amazing set of leaders right now, and kind of helping them keep going and growing is a part of my job as well. And being able to kind of help from where we just started as hiring studio assistants to kind of eventually help them get where they are too. So we're trying to prep people for their time for when they do leave us, that they can be able to take the leadership skills that they've learned here to somewhere else as well.
Oh yeah, I love that. I'm all about that myself. But those things that y'all just said, that's a lot. Like it's a lot of tasks to do and people to lead and people to manage. And that's a ton to keep up with. So what kind of systems do you have in place to help you keep up with those things, to know what it is that you need to be doing and when you need to check on people, et cetera, et cetera?
For us, we have like this nice thing called Connect Team where we can kind of keep notes of everybody in there, which is super helpful. And for me, I don't know if you have a partner, but I do, and I genuinely could not manage the studio without her. There's two managers here, it's both myself and Elena, and we both kind of tag team everything, kind of help bounce ideas off of each other to be able to run the entire studio together. And so where she might focus on one thing, I might focus on another, and then we'll bring it back together and say, hey, this is what I came up with, this is what you came up with, and try to combine them. And so truly, honestly, I don't believe that you can run it by yourself. I think having some type of help is great. And that has been the system that's been working for us, is having two people tackle everything, starting at the week with an entire list of like, this is the things that we need to focus on this week. This is where we plan to go for this entire month, and then 2 months in advance. And then we're just kind of tackling on from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to make the plan and then work through it. So,
Right.
and having a partner help keep you accountable is,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a good one. So, Kaylin, what do you do? How do you do it?
Well, I would say we recently kind of made this structure of our team members and our team leads and our management team, and we've separated our team leads a little bit into now a hopefully every other month meeting. So we still do full staff team meetings, but mostly those are going to now be quarterly. So we'll meet with our team leads every other month to kind of touch base on what's going on with the studio and then what their focuses can be. So these are our guys that have been there for 2 to 4 years. And they can kind of take ownership now of their own tasks. So that has been, I think, a godsend over the last couple of years, specifically as we've been growing, as my tasks have become a little bit more overwhelming with all the different things. So I've loved that newer system of I kind of communicate with them and coach them, and then their jobs to now trickle that down to our team members and communicate with them and grow them and coach them, and have their own little buckets of responsibility.
Yeah, no, I love that. So it's a lot of organizing the people.
Mhm.
Something that I learned personally when I transitioned into being a manager of things and people is that it's a lot more about people than it is about task. And so I thought that I was going to like, now's my chance to get all these things done. But it turns out it's more about helping other people understand how to get things done. So it's good that y'all seem to be in that same boat where we're focused on the people because they're the ones that are kind of moving things
Yeah.
forward.
And like to piggyback off of that, it's like you're not just helping them learn like leadership skills, you're helping them grow into their own confidence as a person as well, and helping them shine as their personality in the studio as well, in hopes that maybe they will be where we are right now. And so it's a lot about getting to know each individual person and what their skills are and where they're good at and what can they improve on, and being able to help them grow even on the things that they may already be great in by letting them feel confident and giving them the power to feel confident in what they know and what they do.
Mm-hmm. I would love to piggyback off of your piggyback.
Yeah.
I think all this is just a great example too of, just what you said earlier of, what is the importance of having a manager if you're a studio owner of your small business. I think it sounds crazy for a studio owner to be able to spend, all this time really understanding each individual person to this extent. But kind of like what we just discussed, it's so needed to
Mhm.
understand everybody who's working for you to this extent. So somebody needs to do it. And I think that's where that management role kind of comes in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, our employees, our staff, they're the ones who are working with the customers on a day-to-day basis. So if their priority is the customer, your priority has to be
Mhm.
them and making sure that their buckets are full and that they feel
Mhm.
like they're good at their job and that they're going somewhere and that you're invested in them. I talk about it all the time. I taught my class last year at convention was about creating community, but a big chunk of it was about how your staff is the foundation of that piece and really getting to know them and what they're great at and what they want to be great at and
Mhm.
helping facilitate that will help you have a happy staff that falls out less and
Mhm.
and does things correctly and grows your business, and then everyone can actually focus on larger goals together because you're not just treading water all the time. So speaking of support and growth, let's talk about y'all's support and growth. In what ways do you feel like your studio owners are showing up for you? Whoever wants to go first. Felicity, you seem like
Okay.
you know already.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Kaylin.
All right. So at the very beginning, it was super collaborative. Megan was not really sure what this manager position is going to look like, and I think we just kind of custom made it for me. We went with my strengths
Mhm.
and what her needs were, and kind of just went from there. I think over the last couple of years specifically, we've definitely had some more deep conversations on what is management, what should the manager need to succeed and have access to. And I think she's been super helpful in pulling endless resources. Megan is a researcher for sure. But it's great to just have access to all this information that I can read, I can digest, we can talk through,
Mhm.
and then kind of take each situation that happens at the power stop and kind of break it down in these methods that we've kind of been going over together.
Right. Yeah. Felicity.
For me, something's mostly similar. Susie is a very big resourcer as well. She will send podcasts to me. We will share books about leadership, have deep conversations about leadership and like what that means for me or for both of the managers we have here. And she has like empowered me to kind of grow into my confidence as well as a manager, which is super important. When you're dealing with different personalities and different things, you want to make sure that you are also showing up as your best self too, and wanting to show up, learning all the things to make sure that you can also make your staff's morale high, which is one of my favorite things to do. But Susie has been very supportive in that way of like, hey, you have ideas, let's try it. And just telling me to go for it. And my biggest thing is like I always want to plan every single little detail before I start something to make sure it like feels like it's perfect. And she's kind of helped empower me to feel like, you know what, just take the idea, run with it. And if you hit a wall, it's okay.
Yeah.
You just get right back up and you try again, or either you take a hammer and sledge the wall down. So that's how she's been supportive.
I agree with that. I think when I did have bosses, the best thing that they ever gave me was the opportunity to fail. Knowing that they were in my corner, I could try new things, and we want them to succeed. But if they don't, they'll help me figure out, how to get around that, and then I can be better at my next attempt for next time. So that's the part that I think freezes a lot of us, is we think it all has to be perfect before we have a new product, a new system, a new whatever. But the reality is, even if it is perfect, you're still gonna have to workshop it once you actually get it in front of people and they do it. And you're like, I didn't know that they would go directly for the opposite thing that I set out
Exactly.
here. But great. So yeah, team morale. How are you keeping your staff's morale high?
We like to play games here in the studio.
Ooh,
Our
fun.
staff is, very creative, very funny. They have I think one of the best personalities. They're very quirky. So in order for us to keep morale here, like for this past February or maybe the February before, we played a little game where we put the reviews in our customer's hand. And so I bought little cups with each staff's name on them and bought little hearts that's as customers were checking out, they could grab little hearts and put it into any of the staff's cups that they felt were helpful to them. And
Cute.
as they were able to do that, I was like shouting them out throughout the entire day. Oh, Holly got some hearts in her cup, or Sam got hearts in his cup. And then at the end of the day, we would count each other's up, and they would kind of like basically be competitive with each other because we do have a very competitive team.
Yeah.
And they had a great time. They were like, "Oh, she just got hearts. I'm about to go score some hearts really quick." And then at the end of the day, we would count them up, and whoever had the most hearts would get 2 gift cards, and then everybody else still got something. So we would have a gift bag, a goodie bag for every single person.
Oh, that's so fun.
That's
And
so
how do you
cute.
choose the days that you do that? Is it a weekend day, just random?
It's usually a weekend day just because that's when our busiest day is Saturday. But we try to even give the opportunity sometimes for the people that may just work specifically during the weekday. So we try to switch it up too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Kaylin, do y'all do anything for the staff?
Well, game-wise, not necessarily. We do have a bunch of gamers though, so that's a great idea. We do a lot of the like standard perks, and we have like a reading program and a like snack area that I fill. But as far as keeping morale high, I think it's just in those everyday interactions, how you
Mhm.
handle the situations when things get tough and how you handle a super busy day. I think it is just staying like cool, calm, collected, and like cheerleading when you need a cheerlead. And it's great to see how everybody is so supportive of each other. So I think that,
Mhm.
they play a big part to staff morale. So I think it's also hiring the right people for those seats as well.
Mhm.
Um, and then it just all comes together. But you do have to spend a
Yeah.
lot of energy, like kind of maintaining that, making sure nothing slips, because one
Yeah.
bad day can kind of do some damage.
Yeah. I think too, what helps us is like during our training, once you come on as a staff during our like onboarding process is what we call it. We also ask during that time, like, how do you receive feedback, or how do you receive praise, or what best makes you feel like you're feeling heard? And so hearing those things first when they come on as a studio assistant also helps us to know how we can help them feel supported and feel like they can also have the open door to come to us as well with anything too. So I feel like starting it off that way has helped us be able to also keep our staff's morale high, because some people like, verbal praise, and some people do like, hey, a little change in my pocket is nice too. So, or like gifts, things like that. And so we try to change it up to best fit the person itself.
I think that's a good resource plug. There's that book, The Five Languages of
Yeah.
Appreciation in a Workplace.
Yeah.
And I think that one is a solid tool for a new manager to kind of be like, you can't just treat everybody the same. Like everybody has their own differences, and your staff culture like might have its own set appreciation. So just recognizing that and then giving it to them.
Yeah, that's so true. All of these things are big ingredients in the cake of staff morale. Like I think that the snack area is really important, because the days that I'm there and it's really busy and like my blood sugar is dropping, having a little snack is really helpful for getting me back into the saddle. And then again, like being asked, how do you want to receive feedback? How do you receive praise? How do you want to be a part of this? It does. It dials into, you're a person, you're part of our team. We're here to work together, to grow together. And that from a retention standpoint, that's how you make people feel seen, heard, and welcome. So they want to stick around, Okay, so tell me something that you don't like about being a manager. Like if there was one job you could just wish it away into the world, what would that be?
I was discussing this with Megan earlier, and it's so hard. I'm sure there's a lot of little things in the moment that I really hate. And I think that there's bigger things too, like firing, or those tough one-on-one conversations. But I don't know if I would necessarily wish that task away, because I think that those are also great growth opportunities for me and my skill sets, and learning how to then avoid hopefully those future conversations, possibly by better systems and whatnot. So I can't think of anything very like specifically that I just would do without. I might get really annoyed in the moment, but I do appreciate all the tasks at the end of the day, hard or not.
Yeah. Well, we all there's always the least favorite task, and we all have to do it anyway. My opinion has always been get good at doing it so that it, stings the least whenever you do it. But it's good to know going in, like, what's not the glamorous parts about this job. And those hard conversations, like the firing and the confrontation, those are not the glamorous parts of the job. I'm never excited to do them myself as a manager or as an owner, even to this day. So I'm constantly refining systems myself, because I'd rather not be in that position, but if I'm going to be in that position, we've got to be good at it when we're there. Felicity, what do you
I
think?
was going to say the exact same thing, like the hard conversations of when things aren't getting done, or when you have to kind of coach or push someone to be in a different direction or handle like different personalities that might not clash so great together at a certain time, or especially during those busy days where like communication has to be on the fly and as busy with customers and things like that. Like, not my favorite part of my job at all. I don't want to have to ever feel like I need to be hard on anyone. But it has helped for me to be in those situations, to gain more confidence in those situations of how to handle those things. Even with just as like for the wording itself of like, the more it happens, the more I become more comfortable with a certain wording. And, being in that first set of times where I've had to have different conversation, and definitely the tough conversations, help for me to change some of our policies too, of like, what does this mean? Does every single verbal warning have to be bad? Does it have to be something that needs to be so tough? Can it be casual conversations that we're having, instead of like, hey, I'm seeing this and I want to bring it to you and I want to talk about it. You tell me where you think you are with that. And so instead of it just being like, hey, this is your verbal warning, you did something like this, I want to be able to have it as an open discussion. And so we're working on changing that type of policy right now to make it open. And then, if it's something serious, that a fireable offense, then that's different. And we have different situations for that too. But definitely not the hard conversations. That hasn't been the best part of the job. Or dusting. Dusting may also.
There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
Are you spending hours managing studio bookings and class registrations? Occasion helps ceramic studios save an average of 3 days a week in admin time. With clever workflows, instant confirmations, and seamless class management, you can focus on what matters, creating amazing experiences for your customers. Join successful studios like Clay Cafe Avalon, who've trusted Occasion since 2016. Visit occasion.app and schedule a demo today. Mention Glazed Over Podcast for personalized setup support.
Howdy partners, Des Toll here with Bisque Imports, and we are boot scooting excited to see y'all at the CCSA convention this September. Mosey on over to our booth and be the first to check out our newest products and catch a sneak peek at what's heading your way soon. We've got games, good vibes, and the friendliest crew this side of the kiln. And don't forget, there's some mighty fine swag waiting just for you. So dust off those sparkly boots and come say hey. It's going to be a rootin' tootin' good time.
Yeah, dusting, if I could wish that one away, that one might get wished
That
away.
one I absolutely will.
Yeah, because it's everywhere. And it's funny because when you start noticing it in our studios, you go everywhere. You go to a restaurant and you're like,
You
gosh,
see it
these lights are so
everywhere.
dusty. Okay, so speaking of not so fun parts of the job that are maybe harder to manage, how do you deal with call outs on a daily basis? Like staff that are sick.
For us, like I said, Connect Team has been our best friend with that. It helps so much, kind of helping to manage who may be still in town, who may not still be in town to ask to come in to cover that shift. Our staff, thank goodness, does a great job of, being open to want to cover someone's shift when they're sick. Generally, once one person covers something else, they'll have someone cover something for them next down the road in hand. But if in fact that, our staff can't cover those shifts, then it is on, one of the managers to come in and cover those. Had to cover a couple, and I don't mind it as much. I really love being in the studio. It's almost like my second home almost. But genuinely call outs, we're still trying to figure that out and navigate that. But for right now, what's been happening is we just kind of reach out and see if someone can cover them.
So when someone's sick, do they reach out to you first or they just throw it to the group chat and see who can?
Yeah, they reach out to us first. And at that point, how we handle that is, we'll reach out and see who is still in town, see who's in town, give them those options of, hey, these are the people that can be able to cover for you. Reach out to them and see if they're more than willing to cover your shift for you. And then let us know either which way, if they can or they cannot.
And then what happens if you get sick? Same thing?
Same thing. Usually what will happen is either Elena or Susie would have to cover for us, because how it works for us, the same type of level of management would have to cover, like the title would have to be able to cover you.
Right.
Thankfully,
Equal people.
knock on wood, I have not gotten sick often, thank goodness. But if it does happen, that is how it works.
Yeah. Okay. And then Kaelyn, how's it work for y'all?
Well, so we set the expectation for the staff that if they are feeling ill, unless it is like an hour before you're supposed to work, if it's an hour before you're supposed to work, like call me ASAP. But if it's like early AM, they should text everybody first and then kind of text me an update of what's going on and keep me updated about who has said what. Like, has anybody answered you yet? Has anybody said no? Did somebody say yes? Because that's easy, then swapping it right away. But then they need to text me at the same time that they're doing this so that I can look at the schedule to see like where they needed, like were they extra for something? Can I just adjust my shift to kind of cover it a little bit? And then can we just do without that person entirely? Or I might see something in the schedule of, this person is going to be the best person to ask, and I might text them directly then with maybe a different time frame than what the person who is calling out would offer. And usually that works pretty well. There are some times where I might have to go in, but usually it always works out weirdly that I'm working. So I just kind of adjust my shift around to cover it.
Right. You're like, I can pick up the slack. It's fine.
Yeah. It's very rarely that I might be sick. Actually, one of the biggest times that I was sick, Megan was also sick. So we just had to kind of find staff to fill in the holes and adjust the schedule. She very rarely will come in, and if she does, it's usually not a floor shift. Like she might have to come in on a Saturday if somebody's calling out on a Saturday to do maybe kiln room stuff to make sure we don't get behind there. But it's been a hot minute before she's had to do anything customer facing. We avoid that at all costs. And she doesn't like it, but she wants to have the control over like saying hi and then saying bye again,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So, well, in my studio, it's a little bit similar. So I do have a manager, and so when people call out, they text her to let her know that that's a thing and that they're working on it. I do put it on everyone as their own responsibility. It's your shift. You need to get it covered. It belongs to you. But she'll do the same thing. She'll look at the schedule and say, like, do we really need you? Can we just adjust the people that are here today? If normally a staff member is happy to cover, if not, she'll cover. And if it really came down to it, I will come in as well. But I'm the same way. I love working with the customers, but they always put me in the kiln room. So I'm the best glazer that we have. So they're like, yeah, like you could just go back there. I'm like,
That's where you
okay, I
make the
mean, I
biggest
wanted to,
impact. Yeah.
yeah, right. But I'm like, I mean, I wanted to do lace with somebody, but yeah, I'll go do the kiln. That's fine too. Um, okay, cool. So we touched a little bit on the disciplinary issues. It sounds like you have somewhat of a system in place, Felicity. Like, do you have a written system for when you do have to do those casual conversations now or the more verbal warnings before?
Yes, absolutely. So again, shouting out Connect Team. I feel like they should sponsor us
Whoop,
by now. But
whoop.
in Connect Team, each person has a like note section and their username. And so what we'll do is during those casual conversations, we'll go in, jot things down if we have to, just basically what we call journaling. So we journal on every single staff we have here. If we have to have a conversation with them about something they may have done on the floor or being late, or it could also come down to how many times are they calling out, things like that of that nature. All of those things will go into their journal and Connect Team. And if it is ever something that it's beyond just something we can have a casual conversation over, it is also a form in Connect Team where we have where we can put written warnings and have them printed out and have the staff sign them just to let them know, like, hey, this is what you've written up for, just so we're both on the same page. And then from there, it's firing, and we try not to get there. I'm more than happy to provide different opportunities for growth as much as I possibly can, because to me, when you're late a lot, I take that as, okay, how can I help you have better time management instead of something I just want to fire someone for? I want you to grow in that area. So it just depends on what the situation is, but definitely everything is in Connect Team. They get through the journaling first, and then there's a written, and then we can kind of have a different conversation from there.
Yeah, I think it's really smart that you're looking at everything independently because you never know when somebody really just needs some support in an area, and no one has offered that to them yet. So that's really good. And then Kaylin, what about y'all? How are you doing disciplinary issues?
Well, so it's written down officially as a three-strike policy, where the first one is a very informal warning, but it is documented. And then the next one is a signed write-up, also documented, and the third one is a disciplinary action up to and possibly including termination. Just to kind of have our ducks in a row. Usually, there's a lot more of those verbal warnings that are documented before it even gets to the write-up. But they are documented, so that's important. So they're in, or they should be, they're in a like staff individual folder in our OneDrive that we have locked between us. So just noting when all those conversations happen, because sometimes there are just so many more conversations than you're even aware of. And then it's just, like Felicity was saying, it really is more of a coaching opportunity. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, you suck at time management, so you can't work here. Like, what is the problem? Like, is it the route that you're taking? Like, can
Right.
I schedule you for later, knowing that you are aiming to come a half hour? Can you clock in early? Like, is that one of our team like leads currently? We're trying to work on that kind of system of maybe kind of flex, since her drive just does change so much with traffic. So can we wiggle on that policy for you specifically because you've earned that, whatever that is, but you can't be late. So
Right.
it just depends on the individual situation. But if it is an extreme situation, at least we have it in place that, I can just do those three things and that's it. Like, I've talked to you once, I've had you sign it. Not a great fit.
Right.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I think that's kind of the best part is that it's that easy fallback for the people that you are ready to just move on. Because you have this, look, we've got it written down, we've tried our best. But when you have people that you don't want to just move on from, you also have that opportunity to coach them. So speaking of those things, do the good things also live in that folder? Does this folder also have like performance reviews and growth paths and things in it, or is it just disciplinary stuff?
ours works. It's just everything interactions with that person. So it
Mhm.
is their like reviews, their bonuses,
Mhm.
and those kind of things. It doesn't have necessarily like the little nitty-gritties of customer shout outs or feedback, but that is an
Mhm.
interesting concept to possibly consider. Or if they're just excelling in something. But it just tracks all serious conversations, good and bad, that need to be kept track of.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then y'all's is just stays in the notes
It's-
section of
It does, like any type of like raises or promotions or good reviews we do put in there. But right now we're working on a board for all of the staff to be able to see for like,
Mhm.
if they get a customer shout out, we're going to be printing that out and putting it in the staff room so they can be able to see that. Because I feel like, as a person, as an employer, you can be able to see if being able to see, what good things you are doing and seeing how customers may shout you out or being like person of the day or star of the day or something does kind of help go tie back into that morale of them feeling good and feeling heard and feeling appreciated. So just instead of like us keeping it documented and connecting, we want them to be able to see that we saw them excel and them feel that way as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think something I've noticed now that I'm a little bit more removed as an owner is that I don't always see the great things that I
Mhm.
know people are doing. And I want them to know that I know they're being great. And I've even recently chatted with my customer experience coordinator about adding that into her job of like, hey, I need you to tell me twice a week somebody that you overheard say something great or do something great, and let's put it on a little internal board so that everybody can see those staff shout outs and know that like we do appreciate you, know that those little things are the most important moments of our day, especially for our studio assistants. Like
Mhm.
those are the most important parts, is the little things, the little connection points that they make with our customers. So what do you wish that you had more time to do on a day-to-day basis in your dream world?
Social media. I love
Mm.
marketing. I like creating the fun videos. I'm not kidding you. I have like 10 videos right now that I still need to go back and edit because there's just not enough time in the day. But I love social media. I love working on it. I like making little cute little videos of like maybe one of our cars moving and like little animals following it into the studio, different things like that. Um, I feel like the more people can see, the creative side of our also personalities as a manager and also things that we see as customers that may do, then the more people want to be inspired to come in as well.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I also wish I had more time for social media. That seems to be the thing that falls to the bottom of the list,
It
even though it's
does.
very
Mhm.
important, you know?
It is.
Uh, and it's kind of fun. Like the videos can be really fun to make, but they can also be taxing, you
They
know?
can take a while for sure.
Mhm. I think, Kaylin, what about y'all?
Everything. No, I think more so, I guess, the training of our like, leadership team. Because
Hmm.
that one I think is hard to pin down sometimes because they're just so integral to just running the day-to-day of the business. And so when they come in, their job is just too important for me to take them away and be like, let's do a coaching session. So having more opportunities for that. That's all on scheduling and being careful with the hours and whatnot. But I think that they have so much growth potential. And like Felicity said, like I really do when they move on to the next journey, I want them to have all these skill sets they got from the pottery stop. Um, so that would just be so much more fun to do more of.
Yeah, I totally get that. I did ask my manager what she wishes she had more time to do, and she said, work with the customers, do the techniques. And that I think is also a fair point. Like the
Mhm.
higher up that you kind of get and the more integral you become in the day-to-day operations, the less that you're having the same touch points that you used to have, where you're really walking someone through concept to completion on their pieces. So that gave me some insight as an owner to just look at what her weekly workload looks like and say, which of these days can we make your shift more about the on the floor things and about the organizing and the customers and the processes, and less about being on the computer or on the back end or marketing or whatever it might be. And that was an eye-opening conversation for me. So I would suggest for any of the studio owners out there to ask your managers what they wish they had more time to do. You might find that that's very interesting insight.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're coming up a little bit on the end of our time here. Anything that you guys want to talk about specifically?
Not the top.
No, not
No.
really.
um,
No.
yeah, I feel like okay, so I do think like if there are managers watching this, I think that it's so important to connect with other people in this similar role. Like even just hearing Felicity talk this whole time, and you too, Jess, like having your history as a manager and then also having your own manager. Um, I think it's just so validating to hear people say the same things that are kind of echoing inside your head. And I think that at the beginning, specifically, this job felt to me a little like isolating because I had boundaries between me and Megan and boundaries between my staff and I. You should have those boundaries in place. But then venting to my friends about the day to day of the pottery stop world, they just didn't get it.
Right.
So having those growth opportunities for me specifically to go to like the CCSA convention or these like mini camps that the suppliers put on has just been so beneficial for me specifically, really just for the networking, like talking to other people who are just doing the same things, thinking the same things, is just so refreshing. I feel like this conversation will do the same thing, and I'll go into the next work week like, yeah, like this is my job, like this is what it is. So I just think that's so important to talk to other people.
That's so funny to hear you say that because literally me and the other manager, Elena, were just talking about how we wish so badly that there was just this big group chat of like all the managers from all the studios and that, so that we could just fire off all the questions and like the random things that come up. Because God knows there's like always just something random that, you know, you never handled before. And you're like, how are other people dealing with this? And so it would be nice to be able to be in some form of like connection with other studio managers to be able to hear their feedback on how would they do something differently than what we're doing right now, so that we can also grow here. Like even though we may be managers, we also still have room to grow as well, and so it'd be nice to kind of hear some of that feedback for sure.
Yeah, I'm growing constantly on a daily basis. My favorite thing about convention is actually the manager roundtable that you guys put on. Kaelyn and Megan do a really great little managers roundtable, and we all get together, and I get invited, and I don't know how I got invited, but I get invited, and I get to talk to the managers instead of the owners about being managers at their stores. And last year, one of the roundtables, I was talking about team morale, and everyone was pitching me the ideas about what they've done, what they wish they could do. And someone had this great idea about they wish that they could have everyone paint like together more consistently. And I was like, you know, that's a really good point because not everybody likes to paint or is really super connected with that part of our of what we do. So my Christmas gift to my staff this year was a month of or a year of team building. So once a month, they're doing in our store a staff paint night after hours. And I was not sure how well that was going to go over, if they were going to want to come. You know, like it can always be a toss up when you're asking people to volunteer their personal time to come hang out with their work friends, even if they love their work friends so much. But, you know, I told them what the managers had said to me. I pitched it to my staff and they were like, no, we would love to do that. So what we do now is at the first staff meeting of the year, we vote on the first 3 months pieces that we're going to paint. So everyone does have to paint the same thing. They vote on it. You got to be at the event in order to paint it. So you don't get to make it up later or anything like that. I don't put a cap on how much it would normally be on the shelf or whatever. Like y'all just tell me what you want to paint. And it's been things from bud vases to that Bernie Bones chimenea. Like they don't go for just the biggest things like you might think in your head. Like they go for things that they legitimately want to paint. And it's okay to paint a bigger thing, right? Like a lot of our employees don't get opportunities to paint the bigger things. So to me, I'm like, yeah, I would love to see you paint one of those giant bowls so you'll have a better idea of how long it takes to paint it and how much coverage you need to put on it and whatnot. And they've really picked it up and they've taken it as their own little like internal staff team building day. I don't go, they bring their own, they bring foods and snacks and they get together and they put on different music and have a good time. They have invited me to come, but the other managers at convention had told me that they'd really like to spend time together without their studio owner around with their staffs. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, that's super valid. That's something that making the transition from manager to owner, I hadn't thought about because sometimes I still see myself as just a part of the team as everyone else is. And they see me that way too. But I do notice that they've actually gotten to get together and talk openly about things, regardless of what I might think about it. They don't have to worry about me jumping in of like, well, here's how I would solve that problem. Or what if we had this process instead? Because I'm a problem solver. And, you know, everyone shows up. We have very few times when well, it hasn't been any time that no one's come. There's maybe one or two people who can't come for XYZ reason, but that's been a really fun one. So I know we do other team building things throughout the year. We recently went to the baseball stadium. So quarterly we'll do something that I go to and we're all together and they can bring their family and whatnot as well. But I think all of that really contributes to that, creating the community, the internal culture. They want to support each other because they get to know each other and they really do develop a relationship beyond these are people that I work with, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that like started from a conversation
Yeah.
at this manager meet and greet. Yeah, it's just so I think crucial to talk to somebody else who can just give you that little that one little takeaway that you're like, that's amazing. Like that little
Yeah.
heart cup thing that you mentioned earlier, Felicity. I'm like, okay, how could we kind of like spin this for the pottery stop? Um, just
Right.
there's
There's
little tiny
always
moments.
little nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, steal any of anyone's ideas in my family, we're all family. So
Same. I'm like, what is stealing? No, we're sharing.
we're sharing. Yeah,
We're sharing.
exactly.
We're
We're
sharing ideas.
collaborating in a community environment.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's a wrap, y'all. Don't forget to swing by the Bisque Imports booth at the CCSA convention, where the kilns are hot, the games are wild, and the swag is sweeter than a two-step under disco lights. We'll see you there.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Yeehaw, studio owners! Saddle up for success at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention, happening September 5th through the 8th in Denton, Texas. This year, we're bringing cowboy country theme to the heart of the fine arts, and you won't want to miss it. Get ready for an action-packed event featuring over 35 industry classes designed to boost your business, an exhibit hall filled with the latest and greatest from top suppliers, plus social events where you can connect with fellow studio owners. And don't forget the grand finale, a boot scooting gala and silent auction that'll have you dancing the night away. So dust off your cowboy boots and join us for a weekend of learning, networking, and good old Texas-sized fun. This is an exclusive event you can't afford to miss. Head to ccsaonline.com to reserve your spot at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention. And we'll see y'all in Denton.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
so much. Bye,
Bye. Make magic.
everybody.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Jessica Kaelyn. Editing by Scott Lester. Executive production by Vicki DeWorth. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.